Okay, good morning everyone. Happy Wednesday to you. It's the 22nd day of April 2020, and today we are going to talk about how to find the area of a parallelogram. And if you remember, we discussed parallelograms a little earlier in the year, and we referred to them as p-grams, just because we could save a lot of time writing out a lot of letters. So a p-gram is a quadrilateral which means it's a polygon with four sides, with both pairs of sides parallel. With both pairs of sides parallel. And let's get a little picture going here. So we've got and remember, these little red arrows on the sides means that the top is parallel to the bottom and the left side is parallel to the right side. Any side of a p-gram can be called the base the height of a p-gram is always perpendicular to the base. And we've said that a bunch this year. So in the shape over here on the right, this parallelogram, if we decide to call the top and the bottom the base, then this distance right here, this vertical distance between the two bases, this perpendicular segment, would be the height. If we take this same shape, even if we scale it down a little bit, now in this parallelogram, again, the horizontal sides are parallel and the left and right sides are parallel to each other. Now if we decide to call the left and right sides the base, alright, then the distance between the bases along the segment that is perpendicular to the base is the height. So that would look something like this right here. That perpendicular segment to the base would be the height. Very, very important. Base and height are always perpendicular. And the symbol for perpendicular is your upside down T. Alright, so let's talk about the area of a parallelogram. And the area of a parallelogram is the product of the base and the height. Okay, so area is equal to base times height. Again, it's the base that you choose times its corresponding height. So if we go back to this first picture, it would be the area of this parallelogram would be this base times this height. The two perpendicular segment lengths. In this second parallelogram, the area of this parallelogram would be equal to this base times this height. Both of those products would be the same if those were two congruent shapes. So the area of a parallelogram, is equal to base times height. And remember that base and height are always perpendicular to each other. So let's do a couple of practice problems. Or better word to use for today is going to be example problems. So we're going to find they're asking us to find the perimeter and the area. So while we're here, let's say that the area is equal to base times height, and the perimeter is equal to the sum of all sides. The sum of all the sides. Alright, so in these two example problems that I'm getting ready to do, we are going to find the perimeter and area of each p-gram. And example 1A. Here's our shape. And again, it's a parallelogram. You're told it's a parallelogram, so the top and the bottom are parallel, the left side and the right side are parallel. And in this case, your top is 21, your right side is 17, and this distance right here, the length of this segment is going to represent your height, and you are given this distance, 8 units. So what we know about this shape is that if the right side is 17, then the left side is 17. And what we need is the height right here. Now, if you look at this height, it's perpendicular to this base. and this base is also 21. So the height of this parallelogram forms a right triangle with this piece that's 8 units long and this right side of the parallelogram that's 17 units long. So we can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the height here. So our height squared plus our leg squared is going to be equal to this hypotenuse squared. So right here we can subtract 8 squared from each side. So in your calculator, if you take 17 squared and you subtract 8 squared, let's do that again since I pushed too many buttons. We're going to take 17x squared minus 8x squared equals, and our h squared is going to be equal to 225. Now if we find the square root of both of these sides, then our h is going to be equal to 15. So since we're already here, I'm going to find the area of this parallelogram first. So the area is going to be equal to, I'm going to use this 21 here as a base, and here's our height, which is equal to 15. So the area of this shape is going to be equal to 21 times 15. So our area is going to be equal to 315. And then our perimeter is going to be equal to the sum of the sides. So we've got 2 of the 21s plus 2 of the 17s. So 2 21s, that's going to be a 42. 2 times the 17 is 34. So the perimeter of this shape is going to be equal to 42 plus 34, which is 76 units. So there's your perimeter, and there's your area. Alright, example problem 1b. Same directions, we're going to find the perimeter and the area of the parallelogram. Alright, it's got a bottom down here of 23 units. Now, your height is given, or your height in this case is outside of the shape. The length of this segment, the distance between the top and the bottom sides of this parallelogram, is 24 feet. And this distance is 7 feet. So let's fill in what we know. We know that if the bottom of this parallelogram is 23, that the top is 23. And what we don't know is the left side and the right side of this shape. Alright, but over here on the left side, the height and this outside segment form a right triangle. And in that right triangle, we can use a leg squared plus a leg squared equals the hypotenuse squared in every right triangle. So we're going to use the Pythagorean Theorem again to find the left-hand side of this parallelogram. So 24 squared plus 7 squared is going to equal c squared. So you can type that in straight into your calculator. If I can get my calculator to cooperate. So 24x squared plus 7x squared is equal to 625 equals c squared. So if we find the square root of each of these sides, the square root of 625 is 25. So this distance right here represents this side C, which is both the left-hand side and the right-hand side of this parallelogram. So we're going to do the perimeter first. The perimeter of this shape is going to be equal to 2 of the 25s plus 2 of the 23s. So that's going to give us 50 plus 46. So the perimeter of this parallelogram is going to be equal to 96 feet. The area of the parallelogram is equal to the base times the height. So we're going to use this 23 as our base, and we're going to use this 24 as our height, because this segment and the length of this segment, they're perpendicular to each other, and the base and the height are always perpendicular. So the area is going to be equal to 23 times 24, and the area of the shape is going to be equal to 552. Okay, so that's your lesson for today. Let me give you a couple of practice problems to do, and I'll let you on your way. So here are your practice problems. And same directions, you're going to find the perimeter and area of each parallelogram. And let's see, practice problem number 1. And practice problem number 2. Okay, guys. Those are your practice problems for today. Your assignment related to these notes will be open. That assignment will be open for 2 weeks, which means it shows a due date 2 weeks from today. But don't wait until the due date to do your assignments. Do your assignments in a timely manner, please. Which means to check YouTube every day for notes. If there's notes, then check Focus for an assignment. If there are no notes on a particular day, there will not be an assignment. The only time that there will be an assignment when there are no notes is a quiz at the end of the week. Alright, so stay safe, stay healthy. We'll talk again soon.